Well, I guess this thing's working again. Sometimes I have trouble understanding exactly all this fancy new technology. You know, I tried to do this the last week, but apparently the batteries on this thing doesn't go as nearly as fast as I like it to do. You know, you're looking at is a pile of boxes. A lot of those I shipped home from prison. I averaged one or two of those a month. That's a lot of novel writing and back work for a game system I created in order to keep myself sane and busy. I chose the garage in part because I wanted to show you a little bit of what we've been dealing with here. I mean, I tried to explain that some of my family and stuff has taken advantage of my mother, and this is the pathway. It took my wife and I several days just to dig out this pathway. Because if you look, as I pan around, the sheer volume of junk. There's some good stuff here, but there's more junk than good stuff here. I mean, some of this predates back to my family. We're talking 15, 20 years ago, before I came to prison and before I went to prison, and Dad was doing his thing and families being families. But all this, I mean, there are things here that I can't even begin to completely understand what it possessed my cousin. But God, I love the man. I love the man. He's a brother. He is the only brother I've got because my sister's my younger sibling, and that's it. And Robert and I grew up together. We did some crazy harebrained stuff. I could spend hours telling you some pretty stupid stories about some of the stuff him and I pulled when we were younger. And I'm sure most people have got that sort of thing. You got a story or two in your closet that you really don't like to bring out unless you're a little bit intoxicated and you're trying to one up some other friend or associate of yours. But I've been at this for 2 weeks now. I've got 5 burn piles out here. 5 piles the size of a frickin' car. I mean, you can talk about it, but you just can't justify words without seeing the pictures of the stuff as an example of what I'm talking about here. I mean, this is what my family's property damn near looked like before I started hacking away at it. Now you can see where I've been mowing and I've been cutting and I've been trimming. And here's the first pile. The first pile. And I have 4 more of those back in the back pasture. I mean, I got stuff here. What is this? There's what is that? You even see that thing? That big white thing, gray thing? I don't even know what that is. I'm not sure. I know my cousin brought it in here, dumped it on the property, pretends like he don't know it's here anymore. Here's another thing. I'm not sure what that thing is. Microwaves in the background there. Who the hell puts microwaves out in the backwoods? Look, just junk after junk after junk. And that goes back 30 feet. 30 feet. It's going to take me all fall. My wife and I are going to work our butts off to try to straighten this stuff out. I mean, here's a stack of garbage, just pure garbage that we took out of the garage just 10, 15 minutes ago in order to get room back here to do what I wanted to do. I've got more trash piled up by the trash cans because God bless the sanitation department, but we're not allowed to bring more than 1 trash can full of stuff at a time. So, including my mother's household trash, we still have to put that out. So there's only so many bags I can put in there at a time. It's always something with this stuff. I'm not a professional. You can see that right now. I mean, I'm literally fighting trash, parts. I don't even know what that is. Some sort of frickin' electric motor? You tell me, people. What is that? You see that thing? I don't even know what that thing belongs to. Is it a compressor motor? I mean, is it worth money? I mean, God knows my cousin has not paid up any rent that he promised my mom he'd pay. This is... How far do you go? I mean, how far do you get away with stuff? What is it? Ben Franklin was famous for saying that visitors, company, and fish go bad after 3 days. What he never told us was, what about family? Extended family, aunts, uncle, cousins, second cousins, what have you, who come and you're generous and you try to be helpful, and they just run rampant all over everything. Do everything, no matter what you do, no matter how you do it. You know, truth is, what can you do? I'm doing my best to fix the problem. It takes time. We'll get it done. Next major project is burn season starts tomorrow, so I can start burning. The next major project, hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow and Sunday, we're going to clear everything out of the garages. The whole thing's going to go out, and then we're going to sort through it and put it back in here, but at least stacked and neat. I mean, it's just jumble city in here. It's just how much more junk can we throw on top of more junk? And truth is, we get to that one sometime soon because I'll take you up to the second floor and see what they did to the bedrooms upstairs. It's horrible. It's the sort of bad stuff out of bad TV. I mean, my sister, God bless her, tried to tell me, and I really didn't understand the total. There's no words for it. I mean, honestly, there's no words for it. Now, I'm putting this stuff out on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's ever going to even see any of this stuff. I'm planned for a YouTube, a GoFundMe program to help me get on my feet, help me get a little bit of money in order to sustain myself and my wife until I can find a job. I mean, it took 2 weeks to get my driver's license. Thank God, and the DMV, I got that today. It gives us a little bit of mobility and some freedom. I'm not dependent on the generosity of my sister and my mother for running us around, which is a good thing because tonight's the last night of our hotel stay. We're out of the money for that. Tomorrow night, I'm registered at a public venue on the north side of Des Moines where I'll be living, sleeping every night in my mother's car, my station wagon, until I can figure out how to get on my feet. Takes time. That was one of the problems with the Department of Corrections. They have these great plans if you have a special sentence, or if you're in there for dope dealing, or you beat your wife or your kids, or and those guys are heroes in prison. I'll tell you what, those guys are the heroes. They're supermen. I mean, they're awesome guys. They think of themselves as the king of the roost, and Bob's your uncle. They're going to go right back out to doing what they want to do, and fuck you and the horse you rode in on. And that's their attitude. That's the majority of them's attitude. That's why their recidivism rate is extremely high. Not all of them. I'll be honest. I'll be truthful. It's not that way with everybody. There's some decent guys. They do their best, and God bless them. And I root for them. And I've been there to some of their degrees. Like I said, my crime was messed up. It was an act of stupidity in a very depressive point of time in my life, and there's no excuses, and I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but I never beat anybody. I never slapped anybody's kids. I never beat my wife. I never slapped my kids. I never murdered anybody. I drove when I got drunk. I stayed home. I drove responsibly. I smoked weed since I was 18 until I was 36, and I went to prison. That made me a pothead, and that's a whole nother thing I want to talk about, and we won't get to that today. I have a GoFundMe set up, by the way. It asks for Facebook and Twitter and email contacts, and guess what? I don't have none. So I guess that's a kind of a shot in the dark. I kind of thought it might be, but and some people told me, well, only networking, if you have a network, can work to help you. This is, you're my network, folks. You're the people I'm putting this out to, and doing my best. Craigslist has turned into a godsend. I probably got 20 entries on Craigslist right now, trying to sell some stuff. I got this huge pile of stuff way back behind that burn pile. I keep adding stuff to it every day. People come by and take some stuff out. God bless them. God bless America. Your junk is, my junk's your treasure. I mean, yesterday I found a snowblower out here in the weeds, and that spot I was just standing in, showing you the microwave and that weird thing in the grass. I don't know what that is yet. I'll get to it. But there was a snowblower sitting there. I don't know if it runs. I didn't try. We got one over here in the pile, someplace over here under the stack of stuff. I keep seeing parts. I can see pieces of it, so I know it's there. And it's in much better shape, and I hope it runs because we'll need it this winter. That one is out on the curb. It's free. Pack your truck, bring your family, bring a lunch, come down here and get the stuff. By golly, get it all. Because by hook or by crook, it's gone. If it takes all winter and I have to truck it into town one item at a time in the backseat of the car and dump it someplace, they call it dumpster diving and dumpster raiding, so we can reverse that. People do it all the time. It's questionable. It's not illegal unless you do it someplace you're not supposed to be. So, I'm not saying, but I'm saying it's going to go. In the spring, what doesn't get out of here, we do have the town does do a spring cleanup, but we have to wait till April or May for that, and then they're picky. So I'm looking into places like recycling. There's 5 air conditioners. 5 air conditioners. I'm looking at 2 of them right now behind the damn screen. I don't even know where. Well, I recognize the one. The one was the wife and I's, and shoot. I had to plug these things in. They might still work, but those things are so cheap now. I paid $600, $500 for this thing. You can probably get this for the same type model or at least the same capacity for about $200, $250. So what do? You give it away for $25? I give it away for free. Come get it, just to get it out of here, right? I mean, criminy. Like I said, I go through my stuff. I spent the last 5 days trucking these things back and forth, crate, box, crate, box. Now, got me a big old collection of Star Trek novels, right? There's 79 books in this one box, 79 books. I put that as a set on eBay asking for 25, not eBay, excuse me, Craigslist, asking $25 for the thing. Or an offer. Give me an offer. Come get it. I mean, there's some stuff I'm not going to sell. I dearly wish I had the bookcases full of these things up to show because, yes, I'm a geek. Maybe I don't look like a geek. I mean, I maybe look like some sort of predatorial whatever the hell you might think I am. But then you know what? Most people who are predators look like everybody else. Straight truth, man. Your neighbor, your kid, your uncle, your friends. We really don't know what's in the hearts and minds of people around us, no matter how much we think we do. That's a fallacy. That's defective thinking. Defective thinking. They taught me that in treatment, or what they called treatment, at the place I was just at. Now, like I said, some of you guys, you might know what the hell I'm talking about. Some of you probably don't. But we'll get a big old stack of these things out because I tell you what, this was an addiction too. And I spent serious money. I started buying these game books. And yes, I know it's Dungeons and Dragons. But guess what for you neophytes, or you pagans, or whatever, you uninitiated, unknowing individuals. And God bless you, because, America needs all kinds of people. These things, there are hundreds of kinds of these things. Dungeons and Dragons is just the gorilla in the room. It's the big boy on the block. But for that one game, there's 45, 50, 100 other game systems quite similar to it. Truth is, knit or getting, you can knit and grit it all you want. I see a lot of guys on YouTube. I spent a lot the last few 5 days, the last 4 or 5 days, watching these videos on YouTube about the game guys. The big, huge bookcases full of games behind them, giving all their personal preferences and stuff to other game geeky guys like me. I get that. Don't believe me? Go to YouTube, type in RPG game and see what shows up. You'll find a couple guys who are doing this stuff and doing it quite a lot. So, and you look in the background, if I was them and I had a place to put them and I had a nice room and the bookcases, which I had once until I screwed myself out of that stuff, I'd have had a whole wall And I do have a whole wall, except it's piled into these damn boxes right now. Meanwhile, that's my life right here. Thank God for my mother and my family. They cared enough to pack it up, store it. It took up a portion of a room upstairs, and a good sized portion of it too. And some of it I've benefited from. I don't know why I collected them back in the day, but for example, I had a huge Star Wars Lego collection, and I sold it for $75. That's right, folks. I had about $500 worth of Legos, and I let it go for $75. Because when you're down and you're destitute, you need money to eat. Guys coming out of prison, guys coming out of a lot of bad spots. Well, we qualify for some stuff. There's a lot of stuff I could have qualified for if I'd got to go to work release or the halfway house, but they made sure that didn't happen. And yes, they made sure that didn't happen. I did everything they asked me to do. I asked them years ago to put me in treatment. I was eligible in 2010. I had my minimum mandatories, the hidden minimums that they say that don't exist, except they know they exist. Everybody kind of winks and nods and, nudges, and the public don't care. And you know what? I was public once too. I'm now, once again, I'm public again. And I didn't care then. I do care a bit now because I understand the system does not work the way we're raised to believe it works. It's not a fair and impartial system. Sorry, it's not. If you got wealth, you got money, you got contacts, you could hire a really good lawyer and get off or get a very light sentence. If you got to deal with the public defenders, it's all about the deal, folks. It's not about whether you're guilty or not. You're presumed guilty unless you can afford to prove you're not. And that's the truth. I don't expect you to believe it because I wouldn't have believed it if somebody else come along and told me that. But I got under the bus. It backed over me several times, and I learned some harsh lessons. You know, tell me twice. I'm not going back. I'll tell you a funny thing. Just went to the DMV, got my driver's license. They were stymied that I actually had a learner's permit. 2 weeks ago, I went to the DMV, took my basic test, set up a schedule. They wanted to wait 30 days, but I managed to go upstate to a smaller DMV to get it done sooner. But to be legal, to drive legal, I went ahead and asked for a permit. Most people don't seem to do that. Your license expires, you just keep driving on your expired license and pray that Johnny Law doesn't pull you over and give you grief. Well, I'm just coming out of the joint. I've had Johnny Law up to my damn neck, and frankly, I don't want to do nothing that's going to risk that. So I went ahead and paid the $20, $25 to get me a permit. And they about floored those ladies up there. They just thought it was something. And here I am now with a legal driver's license. And thank you, Lord, and thank you, the DMZ. Like I said, I'm telling you, it's one of those little things you take for granted until you don't have them. And then there's some out there, y'all know what I'm talking about. You've had those chances and those opportunities, and things just didn't work out the way, a little too much drinking, or you ticked off the wrong government agency and they yanked your license for a while. You get what I'm talking about. The lion's share of you drivers have not a clue just how dependent we become on this vehicle for transportation, this freedom to do what we need to do or do what we want to do, go when we want, go where we want, without having to depend on our other people, for that stuff on a regular basis. It's glad that we can do it. It's a good thing we can do it. I mean, God bless them too, right? What are you going to do? Like I said, I intend to do as many of these things as I can. I have topics for each one. My plan after plan after plan. I always plan an A and a plan B and a plan C and a plan D. Well, plan A failed last year. Plan D failed again this last summer. I refigured to a new plan A. New plan A is out because, apparently, rest area, there's a beautiful one right outside of town, but I'm pretty sure that that's just not going to let me sit there. Which is strange, considering where they are allowing me to park as homeless. I'm not going to tell you about that because there's some ignorant people out there who think it's their job or their duty to mess with people. Well, I can tell you right now, folks, I went through 13 years in prison. I was in 3 different joints. Nobody shoved me around. Nobody punked me out. Nobody pushed me around. I'm a big dude. big scary dude if I'm scared. You know, I will fight back. I want to fight back. I do everything I can to talk a moron down from being stupid, because there are a few of those. But I'm not going to put my neck out there willingly either. So, you know, I'm not going to tell you where I'm camping at. People at the registry office know. The law people know. That's the people that matter. As long as I fill in and I do the thing they ask me to do every damn week, that's what you are when you're homeless. You have to go all the way down downtown Des Moines every week and meet with them in person just to confirm that you're still homeless and that you're still staying at the place where you say you were staying. You know, and I'm a bit vague on this whole registry home thing because it's where you sleep. You could spend the entire day someplace else. You could have a job, 2 jobs. You could hang out, you know, at your uncle's house all day, as long as you don't get your mail there and you don't sleep there. So you're not there 24/7. You're not breaking the law. Now, I'm going to leave here in the evening. I'll back to the hotel. My wife will go with me. We'll spend our last night at the hotel, enjoying each other's company and a little bit of peace and quiet. Tomorrow, I'll spend most of the day, you know, trying to set some order to this garage. So maybe the next time I do one of these things, it'll look a little neater. You know, uh, tomorrow night, Saturday, when you're all at home and comfortable in your beds, I'll be sitting out there in the back of a car, 6'2". I'll be in the back of a small Ford Focus. And at least it's a station wagon, so I can stretch out. At least I got that right. You know, I'm grateful I got that because there's a lot of people that are sleeping out there in the cold, under the bridge or under a tarp, under cardboard. God, that's this close. You know, that's me this close. And I'd do that if that's what it takes to stay out of prison, to comply with the mandates on me. You know, like I said, and I've asked that, and I've said it before. I'm not asking for sympathy. I wouldn't give me sympathy. Wouldn't give anybody sympathy. Well, that's not true. I sympathize with a lot more people than I admit. Pity. Well, I don't want pity, but I pity other people too. But empathy. Empathy is something I was short on before I came down. Before I fell out of the world, as they say, and went behind the wall. I didn't have a lot of empathy for anybody but myself. I was self-absorbed. You know, I wanted what I wanted. I wanted to do what I wanted. Everybody else was either along for the ride or I left them behind. That's, you know, it's cold truth. And one of those things I have to cope with, face with, deal with, however you want to look at it. Part of life. You know, not exactly proud of that either now. I've had a lot of time to look back on that. Yeah. But I'm looking for a little empathy, you know, and show you the stuff I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fix things, trying to set some rights. But, you know, I'm also fighting the system, also fighting to deal with. You know, one of those things like I did qualify for was food stamps. I got them, but it took 8 days. 8 days, no, 2 weeks, because I filed for them the day after I got out of the joint. I filed on them that first Friday when I made the first video. I sat there and I filed for them. It took damn near 2 weeks to get the card. Now I got some food stamps. So I had to burn through most of what extra money I'd saved. You know, I came out of the joint with $1,400. Now that sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money for somebody who got the money. It took 9 years, 9 years to save that. Because I'm making $50, $60 a month. That's your average salary for an inmate in the state of Iowa is about $50. And if you got back child support and you got restitution, you're lucky if you pay 18 or 20. And I know somebody's saying, who gives up? You know, and they deserve it. And they ask, sure they do, folks. Sure they do. Yeah, they all earned the right to be there and to suffer and to deal with the stuff. And yeah, they're getting 3 hots in a cot, which is actually a lie. They only get 2 hots. They get a cold. And the cot sucks. You share that cot in a room the size of your bathroom with 2 to 3, maybe 4 other guys. And the bathroom, by the way, in most of these places. You know, spend a night in your bathroom. Put a mattress on the floor. Close the door. Spend a night in the bathroom. Better yet, bring in somebody you absolutely can't stand. I'm telling you, you can't stand them. Put them in that room and lock yourself in for the weekend. and see how that goes. Because that's what some of these guys have to put up with for years. But hey, we earned the right to go there. I'm just telling you the way it was, or the way it is for some of my friends and associates that are still back there dealing with that stuff. The truth is, there's some really good guys down there. They made some terrible mistakes. They screwed up. We don't think sometimes. We don't think our way through stuff where we always have that it's going to happen to the other guy. It's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to you. It's going to happen to the other guy. Tell that other guy is you. Me in my case, right? Had a good career, education, family, you know. And I got to redo as much of that as I can and at 50. Okay. We'll get there. One damn thing at a time. Just like this disaster that's my mother's property. I sort of told my sister, and they all look at me like I'm strange and says, look, it all got in here one thing at a time. It'll all get out of here one thing at a time. One step leads to the next, and the next step leads to the next. And before you know, you're kind of doing this little dance. You're dancing around, you're moving things. Now, the key is to pick this thing up, take this thing over there. If this thing's trash, throw it away, and just keep going. And eventually, the mountain becomes a molehill, and the molehill becomes a plain. And, one man can't move a mountain that's not true. That's not true, actually. One man and a whole shitload of time and a big shovel. Well, those are maybe could move a mountain. Or a very creative man, a very inspirational individual who can convince a whole lot of other people to pick up shovels and buckets and help them haul it away. Yeah, you can always do things if you really put your mind to it. That's one of those valuable lessons I took away from this mess. And like I said, there's a GoFundMe site up. It's running for me. Trying to attach it on this thing. Next time I'll be smart enough to put a little tag that says, "Hey, go look at this," because look, like I said, none of this stuff existed back when I came before I fell from the world, and now I'm trying to catch up. I don't even tell you how trouble it is just to work the cell phone some days. But hey, I'm not asking for a whole lot, just a little bit of consideration. If you don't get nothing, you don't give nothing, you don't care. Maybe you'll think just a moment and look at what you have and appreciate those people. Enjoy this little stuff that you took for granted. You don't realize just how much you take for granted. The ability to walk across your floor in bare feet with carpet at 3 o'clock in the morning, to go outside and stare at the sun, or the stars, or the moon at night, a little solitude, be able to sit on the john and read a newspaper and not have somebody screaming at you from 2 feet away on the bed saying you stink, flush the, how about some courtesy flushes? Ice water, just glass ice water, little things. Just how fast they can all not be there, right? Your family, your loved ones, being able to see them and give them a hug and smile. God's sake, people. This is big time for the guys, and I'm one of these, so I'm going to tell you, smile at your kids. Your kids shouldn't grow up not knowing that their dad knows how to smile. Laugh for the hell of it, just for no good reason. Just show them, show them that you give a stuff, that you care about life in general. Not just remember. You wake up one day and your kids are grown up and moved away, and they have kids of their own, and they hate you. They don't want nothing to do with you. That's part of the deal. Part of my price. Some bridges you can't rebuild. What do you do? Well, we plug forward. We take that one step. One step leads to another step, to another step, to another step. And then we're doing this weird dance. And hey, you know what? Life is moving. God bless you, folks.